What is going on, MBL Network? It's the Commissioner's Corner podcast, broadcast number 19. A special broadcast. It's going to be a short but sweet. We're right in the draft studios right now. MBL season 25 rookie draft kicks off in roughly 2 hours. I got a panel with me right now. They're going to be coming on as the show progresses, but alongside me right now is Lip. Behind the scenes, pulling the strings, is Delvar, our producer. He's going to be running like a 4-hour marathon tonight for MBL Network. So big shout out to him. Lip, we got some great draft stuff coming up. We got a mock draft from Gub. We're going to be talking about some of these teams, where they should go, and who we think is probably going to jump out with this draft, and it could be a real big deal. This is the last season of the cycle. How excited are you about this draft? Do you think anything big can really come from it from any of these teams?
Oh, absolutely. It's such an every draft is such an exciting time because you get to bring somebody new into your team. It doesn't matter if they're a superstar, it doesn't matter if they're a role player or even just a depth guy. At some point, at least the first 2 or 3 round guys, they're going to help the team out at some point, so it's exciting. There's going to be some cool stuff happen tonight. A lot of picks are going to be made that people aren't really expecting, so once again, it's going to be a phenomenal draft, and I'm extremely excited for it.
All right, we're going to have Delvar pull up the MBL draft order right now of season 25. Not Gub selections, just the draft order. I want to take a look. I kind of want to analyze this just a little bit, Lip, looking at where these guys are drafted, especially in the top 10. We're going to give our predictions on who we think is going to have the best draft in the top 10 that can actually change their franchise around. As right there you see it goes Packers, Bucks, Niners, Colts, and the Colts actually got their pick from the Denver Broncos. So that was a big gain right there for the Indianapolis Colts, a team who lost Andrew Luck this offseason. At number 4, you got the Browns at 5, Panthers 6, Cowboys 7, Dolphins 8, Jets 9, and the Bills at 10. Now, before I reveal the picks of who we think out of this top 10 can actually have a draft that could impact their team to make an actual run at an MBL Super Bowl in this last final cycle, I'm going to say, Lip, you're looking at that draft order. Is there any team on there outside of the top 10 that you think, wow, they're in a nice little position for how good their team actually is?
Well, this team, I mean, I like the situation that the Colts are in. They are in the top 10, but they have 4 and 12. That's a really nice setup for them to build a team. I do believe they just got Derek Carr, so they're in a really nice position. But the thing that really stands out to me is the Super Bowl champion sitting at 15. There's Washington Redskins being at 15. You can get an absolute stud at that spot. You know, they obviously aren't really missing much because they just won the Super Bowl. So being at 15 is a huge thing. Great GM work by the Redskins to be in that position right now. And that's a pick that could really, help them repeat.
Oh, I think so too. The Cardinals got to be scratching their head. How did this team just win the Super Bowl and they're drafted before me? Definitely a head scratcher there. Now let's reveal the picks right now. We got a drum roll from somebody. Lip, want to give us a drum roll? Who Lip thinks in the top 10 this draft could change their stock and have them contending for a Super Bowl? Drum roll, anybody?
I want to hear a Delvar drum roll. Delvar, get a drum roll.
But X can give it to you. We got the DMX playing in the background. Oh, we got the DMX playing. I hope you guys enjoy. Let us know what you think about the music playing in the background. Kind of a new thing to our live show. All right, we're going to release it now. Lip, your pick is?
I'm going with the Dallas Cowboys. Now, this goes back a couple seasons, back to season 22. Whenever we did all this, the Cowboys moved up, took Womack at quarterback with the 6th overall pick. A huge shock to everybody. But it eventually helped them win Super Bowl 23, and that is what I'm looking for them to do. But I'm looking for them to do it on the offense, or on the opposite side of the ball. If they have their offense, they have the line, they have Womack, they have Zeke on offense. So on the defensive side of the ball, I'm looking for them to take a really good defender. Right now, I'm looking at Ben Maxey from Stanford. I think that guy could really get some pressure against these opponents. They got a tough division to play in, but I think this team has the most potential from a top 10 pick to Super Bowl champion.
All right, we're going to move on to my pick. He chose the Dallas Cowboys. I'm going to the AFC, and I'm choosing the former beast from the East, but not anymore. Now he's more like the least from the East. It's the Buffalo Bills. Jay Baston, owner over there. I look at these Buffalo Bills, Jack, and I'm thinking to myself, it's got to be time. I mean, Jets went back-to-back, and then the Patriots came in there, and they won. The Bills were dominating before this little run they had. I feel like they just needed offensive linemen, and Gub has a perfect offensive lineman for them to draft, and we'll get into that shortly. But I'm going with the Buffalo Bills, as this will be their breakout season. This essentially will take this team to a playoff berth, and that's where they get really dangerous. Victor Hernandez, Sammy Watkins, their quarterback, who I absolutely love, Dustin Ely, sacked 34 times last year. If they can get him some protection and some time, they might have themselves a real opportunity to make a nice little wild card run. I say wild card, but they're going to have to win the division to get in, obviously, especially in that division. But I think they're going to be just underdogs. I think they're going to be a little bit of the dark horse, and they're going to come out and they're going to surprise some people, especially if they go offensive line in the first round. Now it's time to move on. Let's get on to these picks. Gub, welcome to the show right now. This is Commissioner Corner Podcast, episode number 19, our pre-draft special. Our draft is just under 2 hours. Let me actually check the time. Yeah, it's like an hour and 50 minutes now. So we've been going for 10 minutes. We got another 20 minutes left on this show. We're going to start with your mock draft 1 through 10. Give us an explanation of why you took these players and why you had them going to these teams.
As you see, at number 1, the Green Bay Packers. I got him taking the best player in the draft. He's probably the best linebacker prospect I've seen coming out in the MBL. Lincoln Norman, outside linebacker. I think he'd be a great fit in a Green Bay system. At 2, you see a familiar face with the Bucs. Last year, they shocked us all. They went defensive tackle. I don't think they make that mistake again. Brandon Glanton, the receivers are very weak this year. I think Brandon Glanton, though, at number 2 is a solid pick. You can check out the rest of it. But at 5, I like the Browns taking Phil Barberi. They just lost Kendall Bryan to free agency, I believe, to rival Cincinnati. I think they go quarterback in that position. And we brought it up about the Cowboys making a run. I think they need defensive help. Their offense is very nice. Anton Scroggins will be a very solid player next to Jalen Smith. And then another pick that I really liked in here is the Jets at 9, Sanchez Woodley. They got a very good front 7, probably one of the better ones in the MBL. I think they need help on the back end. That's why I got them taking Sanchez Woodley at number 9.
And before we move on to the rest of the mock draft, we want to touch on these Green Bay Packers. Let's pull up that graphic we have about Jarrett Ripkowski. Lip, give us a little breakdown about the disappointment of a guy drafted number 1 overall, MBL season 23, Jarrett Ripkowski, franchise quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. But yet, 2 years later, here we are. He's number 1. They're drafting again at number 1. This can't be a good sign. He's a 2-year pro, a record of 5-27. His interception to touchdown ratio is atrocious. 66.5 QB rating. This can't be good. He was a 2nd overall pick in season 23, but man, they moved up and gave a lot to get this guy, and he was supposed to be the guy, and I see nothing but struggle. If you're Green Bay right now, how important is this number 1 overall pick? And you got to make sure you don't bust on this one.
Yeah, if they were to bust on this one, they would have to really reconsider their draft strategy. Jarrett Ripkowski, man, everybody loved this guy coming out of school. Coming out of USC, he was supposed to be the next great quarterback. A little wall of Hall of Fame quarterback. He was supposed to be the guy. But as you've talked about his stats, he's never thrown more than 17 touchdowns in a season, but he's passed 33 interceptions each season and been sacked 92 times. That's really, really bad if you didn't know. So the Packers have to knock this out of the park. I don't know if they need offensive line. I don't know if they need help with receivers. But just remember, when they brought in Gronk to help them out, that did nothing for them. Once again, another GM bust move. So I'm not sure what the answer is here, but they've got to knock it out of the park to try to save Jarrett Ripkowski.
Yeah, Jarrett Ripkowski obviously struggling. All those sacks, Gub, would you be surprised if Houston Free, the offensive lineman you have going to Buffalo, could go number 1? Would that be a reach on your draft board if the Packers decide to go offensive line?
I do think it is a reach. You need somebody at 1 that's going to make an immediate impact. I don't know how much an offensive line is going to help in that spot.
What if it creates an immediate impact on the quarterback you drafted to give you an immediate impact that still hasn't given you that immediate impact? Yes, guys, I used his phrase 3 times in a row. What would you say to that, though? What if that offensive line can shore up just a little bit more security for this quarterback, and it can allow him to sit in the pocket and start dotting?
I do think it could help, but I also think it's more of the system that they're running. I think they need to run more, of a running system, getting the ball out quick, hitting your 5-yard hitches, your little slants.
So Jarrett Ripkowski is a bust to you, because that's not what he was drafted to be, a game manager and to be a power run team. You don't draft the quarterback at number 2 overall to be a power run team. So you would put him as 100% bust in your draft grade scale.
Absolutely. He came in on my draft. I had him going, to Green Bay as a top pick. He hasn't established himself.
Yeah, definitely hasn't lived up to the hype. We're going to get Carolina Panthers owner on the phone right now. He's busy running the lines, trying to make some last-second moves. This is a team that Carolina underachieved last year. Jack, we're going to be trying to get him on the phone right, Delvar. So we're going to try to get Carolina on the phone. They had a big signing this week. Let's put that up there. Steven Katula, 4 years, $46 million. As we get him on the phone, let's discuss this a little bit before we bring him on. Yeah, let's get that graphic up there. 4 years, $46 million. Steven Katula, wide receiver, former Detroit Lion. Lip, you know the impact that bringing a wide receiver in did to Carolina last time when they brought in A.J. Green and paired him with Kelvin Benjamin. Obviously, both of those guys are gone. This definitely changed their draft board. I had them going wide receiver. This is a huge signing. I think Katula has a lot in the tank. He's only 26, 27 years old, and he hasn't really played outside an entire season. He was in the slot in Detroit, buried behind some great wide receivers. This is going to give him an opportunity to shine, and I think he fits perfect in with Carolina.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I want to talk about with this guy. He's played a lot of downs, but nowhere near as many downs as guys who have been in the league 4 years. This guy's going to be fresh. He's going to be ready for a #1 role. And the fact that he played #3 in Detroit for so long in such a good offense, that really is going to say a lot about him as far as a leader. I think that he's going to be able to come in here. He's not going to be selfish. He's going to be somebody that they can pair up, with a tight end, with a slot receiver all over the place. And he's going to make an immediate impact right here. You talked about A.J. Green and Kelvin Benjamin. Those guys are gone. So anything that they've left behind, now it's time for Katula to come in, be a leader, and he can really turn this offense into an explosive one day one.
And I think we got OSU on the line right now, our MBL network director, also the owner of the Carolina Panthers. OSU, everything good, everything checking out right now. Can you hear us?
Oh, I got you loud and clear. It is a beautiful day in the MBL draft day, season 25. How does it get any more exciting than this?
It's obviously a great day, but a great day for Carolina. I want to say this. In Detroit, we pride ourselves on having 3 wide receivers that could go out and do it, and I think you just did it again. Congratulations on the signing of Steven Katula. Griffin Wilds, Patrick Amy, Steven Katula. That's a triple threat if I've ever seen one. How excited are you about bringing Katula and getting him into this offense early, and where do you see his production going with this team? How is he going to be utilized in Carolina?
Well, I can tell you this. I may be excited, but I think our quarterback, Zach Aragoose, is more excited than I am to have a weapon like Steven Katula on the outside. One of our big goals going into the offseason was to shore up our receiving core. I think everybody knows that we were disappointed in our receiving core last year. We know there's a lot of talent there, but not a true #1, and we're getting a guy, a proven leader, somebody who is a Super Bowl champion, and bringing that leadership in to play on the outside, give him a chance to be that #1, pair him on the opposite side of Patrick Amy, and then use Griffin Wilds and Antoine Conway in the slot. I think it gives us a passing attack that can really give us an opportunity to not only challenge for a playoff spot, but really challenge for a division title.
And this was a Carolina team that was 26th in passing last year, 25th in points scored. Definitely could use a little bit of that. Are y'all going back to the system worked well when you had A.J. Green, Kelvin Benjamin. You brought A.J. in on a really nice, team-friendly deal, and it really worked out for you. You won your first division title in the Madden Bomber League. You had a lot of success. I think you won 11 games that season.
12.
If I'm right, 12 games. So you won 12-4 that season. Obviously, the aging and regression of A.J. Green and Kelvin Benjamin couldn't sustain that at the wide receiver position. But I'm really excited. I feel like you have something positive moving forward. Gub's Mock Draft had you drafting defensive end Derek Stark. He's been high on the list. He's been going as high as 3 and 4 on other mock drafts. Is this a player you're looking at? Are you looking at going defensive side of the ball?
It's definitely a possibility, especially in the sense of, we were very fortunate to have the services of Coney Ely for so many years, but unfortunately we couldn't get a deal done that would fit within our cap structure. So defensive end to play along the other side of Peter Legursky, definitely defensive side of the ball we're looking at, but we're really looking all over the board. We have a luxury of, we were able to use our cap space to fill a lot of needs in free agency, something we haven't done in the past. We've mostly tried to build through the draft, but this is a year that we've decided that going all out in free agency was important. So now as we head to the draft, we have a lot of opportunities to maybe at number 6 take somebody who is either best player available, maybe fills a spot. Offensive line is one where we feel like we could improve, but it's not necessarily a need. But defensive side of the ball is something that we're happy with our defense right now, but defensive line, defensive end is something that is definitely one of our priorities in the season 25 draft.
Well, hey, we're really excited to watching some Carolina football in the MBL in season 25. We think y'all, I believe, I can't speak for Lip, but I'm pretty sure he's on the same page. The moves you've made this offseason, we're really excited to see the offense of Carolina regain a little bit of that swagger that they used to have. A really tough team, use big wide receivers. I like to see that. You got Patrick Amy, you got Katula now. I think those are great, and then you're pairing them with the speedster like Griffin Wilds. I think there's definitely some positivity on the offensive side, and if you're a Carolina fan right now, you got to be happy and optimistic going into the offseason. So we wish you the best moving forward. You'll be on the call tonight for the MBL Live Rookie Draft. That's going to be at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in just an hour and about 40 minutes, and we'll be live on the air. Anything you want to give our viewers about what we're going to be giving on that draft show? Any special things coming out?
Oh, as always, we have our pick-by-pick analysis. It's going to be myself and our very own Sonny Weaver going pick-by-pick throughout the first round. We got a couple great videos coming in with some telestration on it to show you some of the unique skills that some of these players here in the Season 25 MBL draft have. It's going to be a lot of fun seeing where players go. This is a unique draft class with a lot of talent across the board. Maybe not so much at the skill positions, especially offensively at wide receiver, as Gub mentioned. Wide receiver is one that goes popularly in the first round, so we'll see where teams go. And also, I do want to dispel a rumor right now here on the Commissioner Corners podcast. We in Carolina have not taken the fake field goal out of our playbook. It's still there.
And that's definitely a little bit of a soft spot for the Carolina fans. A fake field goal at the end of the game. Had a man wide open, and we're supposed to name his name. It was Josh Hill, the tight end. He was subbed in, and he got wide open.
The best of luck in his future endeavors.
And he dropped the ball. I mean, big drop for that team and for the franchise. That could have definitely been MBL Live Game of the Year if that would have been caught.
Still an incredible MBL Live moment. Even though it fell flat, still an unbelievable gutsy call. Great moment in MBL Live.
Yeah, when I think of those calls, I actually put up that wildcat that we saw from the Kansas City Chiefs pass at the goal line in MBL Season 24 Super Bowl. If you haven't checked that out, make sure you hit that subscribe button, that like button, and go to our archives, MBL Live archives, and watch the Super Bowl Season 24. It was a great one. It was electric. OSU was on the call, did a great job. And if you haven't seen it yet, make sure you check that out. Guys, thank you for coming on, OSU. We'll see you shortly on the MBL Live Rookie Draft in just less than 2 hours.
Hey, appreciate it, y'all. Have a good show.
All right, moving along. We got 10 minutes. 10 minutes left in the show. We're going to be doing the final 22 picks. Gub's going to be back with us. Let's start with pick number 11 all the way to 20. Delvar, let's get that up right now. Gub, give us a rundown of who you got.
You see at number 11, the Seattle Seahawks. I got them going QB Houston Renner. They just lost Cam Newton last year. So I look for them to take Houston Renner. He's a top 2 quarterback in this draft. They need somebody to run that offense. At 12, I got the Indianapolis Colts going defensive end Wyatt Hundley. As you see earlier, I had 4 going with wide receiver Brian Dingle. They need somebody to replace T.Y. Hilton, who they lost a few years back, and Philip Dorsett. They need help at defensive end and creating pressure, so Wyatt Hundley would be a very good pick at 12. And then somebody I'm really looking at, a team, is the Ravens at 18, going defensive tackle Dalton Trent. You know how they love taking their DBs. They got one of the better DB cores in the MBL, but their front 4 or front 3 is very, very weak. I think Dalton Trent would be a phenomenal pick at 18 and help shore up that run defense for the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, I'm looking at that top 20 right now, Gub, and I see where you say with the Ravens, they have arguably, as Lip can attest to this, the best secondary in the MBL, at least on paper. I think the real issue comes that they're not getting enough pressure to the quarterback. Do you feel Dalton Trent, defensive tackle, is going to be able to get that pressure on the defensive line to make the quarterback have to get rid of the ball early so it can really allow these ball hawks to make plays on the ball?
I do think that's going to help. He's got a great knack to get into the quarterback, and that's going to help the secondary look even better when they don't have to cover for 5, 6, 7 seconds down the field. Once you can generate that pressure and they're able to jump routes and not have to worry about it, I think Dalton Trent will be a huge upgrade for them.
If you see anything on this mock draft that you look at and go, a little head scratcher, don't think they're going there. I'm curious about Cincinnati Bengals going middle linebacker in your mock draft with Clifton Kempfert. Definitely not a guy that I think that they really need on the defensive side of the ball. I think they're pretty sure up with their team. They got Brandon Marshall playing middle linebacker. They're really happy with his production. First year in Cincinnati, he had 7 interceptions. Was one of the top on the team in tackles. So even though he is older at 32 years old, he's still got the ability to get around the ball.
Yeah, I think like Gub said about the Ravens, the Ravens surprisingly very quietly won 9 games last year, and they actually don't have a pass rush at all. They were 25th in passing defense. So if they can get a pass rush going, that secondary is going to explode. The other thing is, I do believe that the Seahawks are in deep talks with quarterback Holmes. So a great thing for them if they could sign him in free agency. That would free up the 11th pick to go out and get something that they need, maybe some offensive line help, maybe another receiver or something on the defensive side of the ball. Depending on that, picking number 11 could completely change the draft for the Seattle Seahawks.
Anything to add to that, Gub? You try to interrupt our guy on the commissioner corner, man. We don't do that here. You try to interrupt the guys that are the host of the show, man. You get kicked off usually. We're gonna give you a strike one, and this is a 2-strike system here on the Commissioner Corner podcast. Anything to add on this 11 through 20 selection, Gub? Your mock draft here. Anything you see that maybe a team might go a different direction?
Well, not
you got 1 minute. We got 1 minute.
But at 14, the Atlanta Falcons, they did cut longtime Falcon Devontae Freeman. Parrish McKay is the best running back in this draft. I could see him very easily going that way. They got Carlos Williams there. I don't know if he's the answer. So I think Parrish McKay at 14 for the Atlanta Falcons would be a very solid pick.
If you're listening, Atlanta Serpent, the owner of the Atlanta Falcons, if you're listening, Gub's been right, man. He's really done a great job with this mock draft. He's one of the best and the expert that we have in the MBL. All right, moving on, Jack. We're going to pull up 21 to 32. This is going to round off the final draft. I'm interested to see where he's got the Pittsburgh Steelers and Detroit Lions going, because I can speak for myself here, and I'm probably going to call him wrong because I haven't actually – I have no idea where I'm going, and if it just in spite to go a different direction could be something I might be interested in doing right now. So give us an idea, your breakdown of 21 to 32.
The Rams outside linebacker Zachary Jameson. If it wasn't for Lincoln Norman and Scroggins, he probably may be the best linebacker in this draft. I'm a big component of the linebackers. I think they are a big need on every team. 24, the Raiders, going offensive line, Jordan Chisholm. Top 3 linemen in this draft. And at the Bears at 25, QB Gary Finneran. I feel like they've never had, the leader that they've needed on this team. They've always been close. They got the Draco defense. Their defense is always good. I think they need that quarterback that's going to put them over the top. Gary Finneran is that guy to do that.
So you got the Bears going quarterback. The last quarterback they drafted was Max Bragg. Didn't really work out at quarterback. They've been plugging and playing with some veterans. You think they're going to go with the rookie here and give him a day one start if they do draft Gary Finneran at quarterback?
Absolutely. He'd be the guy right out the gate.
Well, Lip, I'm looking at my team, and I'm 100% looking at offensive line, and I'm not going to shy away from it. Obviously, we had some issues at offensive line, especially at right tackle with Jason Spriggs. So that's definitely a place I'm looking at improving. He has you going Leonard Sampson at tight end. Is that somebody that you think you would potentially draft the tight end position in the first round?
Yeah, maybe we're looking. We'll see what happens there at that pick. We really like Frank the Tank Sheldon. Made a big play for us against them Raiders. Y'all know the play. Big guy out of Buffalo, 6'4". I like him. But there's definitely some other things that may come up depending on who falls. But I just want to comment on the Bears. The quarterback thing right now, it's going to be tough. We talked about early on in Commissioner Corner podcast. Sometime during the season, the Draco defense was really struggling. So it's really up in the air for me whether they'll go quarterback and try to get a guy right now, or if they're going to try to fix whatever issues they've had on defense, because that defense wasn't really what it is known for last year. It was kind of in the middle of the pack, which is very surprising for Draco.
All right, guys, so we got about 4 minutes left on the podcast. If you have any questions you want to ask Gub, now's the time. Get to ask an expert maybe where I should pick. If this guy's available, should I take him? So that's the opportunity y'all have in the chat right now. If y'all see anything you like right now, Delvar could just you can kind of just go through the first of those 3 Gub mock drafts, kind of put them up for 10-15 seconds and put the other one up, and we'll run through his draft right now, top to bottom. If y'all got any questions for Gub, now is the time. Gub, I got a question for you. If I'm not going offensive line as a Detroit Lions, which one of those guys below me? Because I'm looking at, I need a backup tight end. I'm not comfortable with the one I have. I like 2 tight end sets. If I don't go offensive line, what else could be out there for me at pick number 30 that is still maybe wide receiver, maybe tight end on the offensive side of the ball, and maybe even a power halfback I'm looking at. Definitely probably not in a first-round selection, but if there was somebody there that really jumped off at me, I might take him.
I'm actually, if you were not to go offensive line, I would look at defensive line side of the ball. He's a sleeper on my board. Defensive end.
Who's that?
Defensive end, Kilo Roan.
Okay.
He's a big-time sleeper. He's very good. You just lost Diggy Ansah. I think this guy could come in. You could plug him in right away. If you don't go offensive line, I think that's where you should go.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna go offensive line. You sounded a little confused once we started getting a deep. Maybe I should just go offensive line. I'm gonna miss it. Greco says Finneran is the best quarterback in the draft. Book it. Do you agree with that, Gub? If do you think Finneran, and he would be going to Chicago, is the best quarterback in the NBL season 25 rookie draft?
No, I disagree. I think Phil Barberi is going to replacing Kendall Bryan for the Cleveland Browns. I think Houston Renner is slightly better. I could see Gary Finneran being top 3, maybe 4 as a QB.
And you think you definitely think he's definitely a first-round talent.
Absolutely, first-round talent.
All right, it doesn't look like we have any other questions.
I got a question
you got
here for
something.
Gub. Yeah, Gub, I know that you're really good at finding linebacker talent, really good at figuring out who can play linebacker. I want to know who you felt was the best potential pick for this drafted outside linebacker out of Lincoln Norman, Anton Scroggins, and on the other side of the ball, Tyron Thornton. All those guys seem pretty good. I know you're the guy to talk to about linebackers. Who do you think is the best out of those 3?
I'd have to go with Lincoln Norman. He brings that aspect of being he's a 3-4 guy. He brings that aspect of being able to get to the quarterback. When you can bring that combination of being able to play coverage on tight ends and match up with your speed, and also being able to get after the quarterback, you can't really beat that. He might be the best linebacker prospect to ever come out.
Yeah.
Final question. We got one last question to go. Yeah, very fast linebacker to say the least. And that's some good information, man. This guy is if Gub is anything, he's the linebacker guru of the NBL. He definitely can select you a linebacker that can be a day one starter and have some real high potential towards the end of his career, middle of his career in the NBL. One last question before we leave. Out of everybody in the draft, who do you think is the biggest sleeper? Has to have a top 3 round potential.
Ooh, top 3 round, biggest sleeper. Oh man, if I can go top 4. I'm gonna go top four rounds. There's a wide receiver out there, Rondell Frost. He's a beast. He's a beast. I got it. That's the biggest sleeper in this draft.
I might take him in the first round now.
Gub, 4.38 40. This guy is 6'5", 4'3",
you guys are all
40.
welcome. I let it out the bag.
Woo! Randall
He's
Frost.
a beast. So if you're looking.
That guy definitely sounds like a sleeper. Not sleep anymore. We got guys hitting the draft board right now looking at that guy. He probably hit the watch list on at least 10 teams right now. Gub, thank you for coming on the Commissioner's Corner podcast. We hope you enjoyed your stay. But as the saying goes, well, how does the saying go when you tell somebody they got to get the hell out of here? They can't stay here. Lip, maybe you can help me out.
Come back when you can't stay so long.
That wasn't the one I was going for. We'll go with that one though.
Not the one you wanted.
No, it was something where you
gotta go somewhere, but you can't stay here.
Yeah, something that was that one. Gub, thank you for coming on. We appreciate it. This is the MBL Commissioner Corner podcast, broadcast number 19. In just an hour and 30 minutes, MBL Season 25 rookie draft will be live, and it will be a show to remember, one of our best shows that we put on each year. Delvar's doing some great work. He's still putting some finishing touches on, some producing in the background, so big shout out to him, guys. Shoot him a DM and let him know how thankful you are to have him in the league. He definitely likes all them DMs swamping his feed right now on Group Me, especially when he's trying to get work done. He really appreciates that kind of stuff. So go ahead and shoot him a DM and say, Delvar, thanks for all your hard work in the NBL, because we honestly really appreciate it, guys. That's going to do it for our show. For Bomber, for Lip, and our special guest, OSU, along with Gub, with this great mock draft, and behind the scenes, of course, the two-time Achievement in Media Excellence Award winner, Delvar. We are saying good night, and you guys have a great draft, and we hope this information helped y'all, and we'll see y'all in a couple weeks.